best place for below average Star Wars.
Hello there, and welcome to the Star Wars Show, the best place for below average Star Wars. I'm your host Peter, and today we're going to be reviewing the end of the Clone Wars, the season 7 finale, all 4 episodes, the Siege of Mandalore arc, and I'm joined by fellow host Kristina. Kristina, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing really good. I'm sort of glad it took a while to sort of get together and chat about this final arc. I've watched it 4 times myself now, which is how powerful it is. And I'm sort of glad that we didn't rush to do it straight away as soon as the episode aired.
Yeah, gave us some time to think about it and think it over.
Yeah, because there's a lot to think about, a lot to take in. It truly is powerful storytelling. And like I watched it again last night, and even then I found new things that I missed. So I think every time you watch this, there'll be something new you pick up on. Even 2 years from now, 3 years from now, when you're watching it, there'll be new things that you pick up on, which is always sort of the awesome thing about Star Wars. It always keeps on giving you things, even when you think there's nothing else left to give. Keeps on giving you little snippets.
Yeah.
So just so that you guys know, so we are reviewing today the final 4 episodes, the final arc of Clone Wars, of the final season. So the first episode is Old Friends Not Forgotten. The second episode is The Phantom Apprentice. The third episode is Shattered. And the final episode is Victory in Death. And these are the Siege of Mandalore arc. Just before we sort of dive into the episodes, Kristina, I'm just wondering obviously we sort of had this mentioned in Star Wars fandom for quite a few years now. I think it was first mentioned during Rebels. Sort of, obviously expectation for me was like, I was really intrigued by it. Very excited to finally get it. Now it's actually here. Was so excited to sort of dive in and watch it, and then when I ended up watching it, I found myself I loved it. It was brilliant, but on like emotional levels and deepness levels, I found it to be like on an even deeper level, and an even like sadder level emotional wise. Like it really did make me feel a lot of things watching it, more than I've ever felt watching any other Star Wars TV show to date. Sort of how are you feeling going into it, and sort of how was it different from your expectations?
I guess I expected it to just be a lot more action, but I'm glad it didn't go that route. It went more like focusing more on Ahsoka and her side of what we kind of already seen in the movies in a way. And just adding little bits to it, just as it got closer to the final episode, it made that final episode hurt more.
Yeah, I think I found there's a lot of character work in these 4 episodes, especially with Ahsoka, especially when we're all with Bo-Katan, with Rex, with Jesse, who are all going to have big parts to play in this arc. But I think that was good. Obviously, like the Battle of Mandalore is going on around it, and you do see snippets of it. And I think had this been like a movie, like on the big screen, I think they would have showed you more of that. But I think because obviously it is a show, it is 20 minutes, half an hour long. I like the fact that it tied into the human level. Like it showed you these characters, spend time with them, which again makes the events that happen sort of even more impactful on you, like in an emotional way.
Yeah.
So I think just to dive straight in, so the first episode is Old Friends Not Forgotten. And the episode basically starts off with the planet Yavanna, and Commander Cody's leading the 212th Attack Battalion across a bridge. They're sort of trying to attack a city on the other side of the bridge, and they're having problems. And some of the clones are getting killed. And I think you get an absolutely brilliant, it is, not almost at all, it is cinematic, the way they introduce Obi-Wan Kenobi here. So there's missiles getting fired and it's killing clones. And one's about to hit Commander Cody. And out of nowhere, sort of, Obi-Wan Kenobi slices the missile in midair, lands, and then you sort of get this, you'll know better than me, I'm probably using the wrong name, but it's almost like a tracking shot comes across Kenobi, and there's like mist and smoke blowing past him, and he's holding that lightsaber, and he's looking very stern, very still, and it's almost like something out of like a war movie, And I thought that was a phenomenal way to introduce the Jedi in this episode. Really adds some grace and some combat ability to Obi-Wan Kenobi's character, which this season we haven't really seen because of how short the season is. We haven't really seen Kenobi battle much. What were your first thoughts like when that happened? Like that was the opening of the episode, and you've got like Kenobi coming across and doing that.
It was really cool. I really liked it because also Obi-Wan is one of my favorite characters, so seeing him do anything cool always makes me very excited. But also, like, this episode didn't have a narrator. Well, not the narration. I mean, like, it did
So it
have
didn't have
narration.
the fortune cookie.
Yes, that thing.
So if we just dive back to the beginning, so for starters, we got like the 1980s Lucasfilm logo instead of the modern day logo, which I thought was like, for someone like me, because I had the VHS tapes in like the 90s, and they had that sort of just the text in green logo. So that's the first logo I sort of knew for the company of Lucasfilm. And then obviously when the prequels came out, they had the new Grand Design logo, which is also very beautiful. So when this episode came on, for starters, when that old 1980s logo came up, I was like, wow, like, and it's just a logo. And this is how funny we are, Star Wars fans, really, that like something as simple as a logo change, like gets us all thinking and talking. But like as soon as that 1980s logo came up for the Lucasfilm company at the beginning of the episode, I was like, oh, like this is going to be different. But I was like excited for it to be different, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, same here.
And then, like I said, we did get the narration, but then we didn't get. Like I said, there was no fortune cookies on any of these episodes. Instead of fortune cookies, we just got part 1 and the title of the episode, All Friends Not Forgotten. So even during these title screens, the Siege of Mandalore is not mentioned. It just says part 1, All Friends Not Forgotten. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, dive straight into the action. And for me, it was nothing where like you see Kenobi saving his commander here, and it's a bit like shows you sort of their relationship and how Kenobi's always there for him. And then obviously, come Revenge of the Sith, we both know Cody has no problems following Order 66 and trying to kill him. So again, my heart was sore a bit because after I saw Kenobi save him, and like the introduction of Kenobi was so like valiant and almost like something out of a story, like a legend story. And then I just thought, oh no, Cody's like Obi-Wan does this for Cody probably time and time again on the battlefield. But come Order 66, Cody's got no problems in taking this man down who's done nothing but try to save his life. Mm-hmm. So he gets but then they go back into hiding, and Skywalker arrives. Sort of they have a plan to take down the city, really. Basically, Skywalker's plan is he pretends to surrender to the droids, and the tactical robot comes out. That's who they've been searching for. And then Anakin pulls him towards him and slices his head off. We also get to see the 501st with jetpacks in this beginning of the episode, which I thought was also really cool. The sort of, because this is episode 1 of the Siege of Mandalore, but obviously this first episode's not set on Mandalore. So the fact that we had sort of these clones with jetpacks sort of, to me, said, yeah, like he has some jetpacks because guess what, guys, we're going to Mandalore soon where there's a lot of jetpacks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice little visual reminder of like a teasing of where we're going. Like, it's coming soon, guys. We're going to show you a little bit here, but you're going to get the big action later. Which again was a sort of good way to sort of build the tension throughout the sort of episode. What did you make of like Kenobi and Anakin sort of back and forth here on the bridge?
I liked it. It was nice to see a little bit of happiness and like a little bit of playfulness before what we know is going to happen later. And Anakin coming in all cool and arrogant. It's like, yeah, this is Anakin. It's a bit of fun.
Yeah, definitely was a lot of fun. I totally got the fun vibes. At first, I was a bit like, they're making Kenobi seem a bit douchey here, but I think like at the end of the day, Kenobi is sort of the calm, cool, collected one, and I think you got to remember that this is well, it's not the last. This is like the penultimate battle. Anakin and Obi-Wan are going to fight together, obviously, because straight after this they're going to leave for the Battle of Coruscant, which will be their final battle, fighting side by side.
Yeah.
So it was good to see them like that relationship as friends, sort of the back and forth between them. I like how like as soon as the battle ends, this is sort of like a precursor. This is just the little intro, and it's probably not really connected to what's about to happen for the end of the season. Obviously, they called back to the ship because Admiral Yularen has received a code transmission from Fulcrum, which was the channel being used by Saw Gerrera in the Siege of Onderon, which happened earlier on in the Clone Wars. But Yularen tells them it's not Guerrera, and that the Jedi need to get back to the command ship straight away. So I sort of knew what was coming here, because obviously we've seen that it would be a big part of that first debut trailer when Ahsoka's like, "Hello, Master, it's been a while."
Yeah.
So we obviously get that scene next. So I like how fast moving this episode was. Obviously, I think it had to be, with it only being sort of 20 minutes or half an hour long.
Yeah.
How quickly from like that transition to Ahsoka saying, sort of got more, to sort of like Ahsoka and Bo-Katan turning up on the ship. What were your thoughts on sort of Ahsoka and Bo-Katan when they were speaking to Anakin and Obi-Wan about finding Maul and the plan that they want to put into place?
You could see that he kind of wants to help, but, you know, he has to follow what Obi-Wan says and orders and all of that. But it's just very bittersweet. And did you get the feeling that Ahsoka just kind of knows something's gonna happen anyway? Like, she's like, and something's gonna happen between her and Anakin, and I wish she had more time with him, really.
I think we'll get into that later, but I think like throughout these 4 episodes, like Ahsoka gets presented with a few opportunities to sort of send Anakin a message or speak to him, and like doesn't take it.
Mm-hmm.
So like this here is their last meeting, really, and their last conversation from what we know of, up until Star Wars Rebels Season 2, the Twilight of the Apprentice.
Yeah.
So for me, I thought this conversation obviously when Tano and Bo-Katan are sort of laying down the plan of capture Maul and need help, and sort of Kenobi's like, we'll speak to the council, and Ahsoka and Bo-Katan are a bit like, well, why are you talking to the council for?
Mm-hmm.
And people are like, well, oh, because he's like a pawn in the Jedi Order. But like, you've got to think, I think Kenobi was the right thing here. So like, in my opinion, if obviously it would be very easy for Kenobi to go, Maul, yes, let's go to Mandalore, let's get rid of him, because he's the one who killed like the love of my life. Get revenge, kill him. And if he did that and went rushing in, I mean, for starters, he'd be playing into Maul's plan, because that's what Maul wants. But also, like, he would be playing into the dark side, because he would be going there for that sole purpose of revenge. So I think he's very sort of, you can see on his face that he's very like, he definitely feels the pain of Satine's death when they mention Maul, but he makes a decision, almost a selfless act, which is what makes a Jedi perfect, to like, no, we're not going to go rushing into this. We'll speak to the council, let them know the situation, and see what happens. So almost taking the decision out of his own control, which obviously Ahsoka sees as weakness. She's like, oh, you're just going to do what the council say, like always. Like the council like aren't always doing like the right things. But like I think like, also finally, yeah, Kenobi knows that. But I think with this being a personal matter, I think it's wise for Kenobi not to go rushing in.
Yeah, didn't he mention something about not letting his emotions cloud his judgment?
Yeah, so Bo-Katan sort of snipes at him, like, I would have thought you would have wanted I thought you loved my sister, well, thought you had feelings for my sister, and he's like, I do, but like I'm not going to let that control my actions. And you got to think like, because I've seen him getting a bit of a stick on some of the podcasts, like, oh, like Kenobi's like just going to the council, calling back to the council and doing what they say. It's not really about that for me. For me, I take it as like, if you look at Attack of the Clones, look at Anakin, rushes to save his mom, gets there, she's dead, and then he kills the entire village of Tusken Raiders. And all that does is put him another step on the path to becoming Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And he never really learns the lesson either. Where Kenobi here, like, probably senses that there's potential for him to do like dark acts here. If Kenobi rocks up on Mandalore looking for Maul for revenge, like that's him. That's him on the path to the dark side. And he probably wants nothing more than to take Maul out, because, like I said, deep down, like, Maul killed the love of his life. But I think he knows he needs to take a step back. Like, it's not about him or his feelings of revenge or him feeling good because Maul's gone. Like, there's a wider thing happening, like, in the galaxy. Just a shame they're all blind to it. So yeah, like, I took it as Kenobi being like sort of selfless, taking a step back, don't rush in, don't use your anger, because at the end of the day, it's only going to take you to one place, and that's the dark side. And as we see, Anakin does do the opposite in Attack of the Clones, and like I said, all it does is put him more on the path to becoming Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So I sort of agreed with Kenobi here. I'm glad he didn't go rushing in. And I think obviously, like, there's a few little back and forth. So like, Ahsoka that slip that she learned about Maul being on Mandalore from sort of eavesdropping on the Pike Syndicate on Obadiah. And Anakin's a bit like, oh, what were you doing there? Almost like asking, like, he was our master still. And you can tell Ahsoka's like, like, I'm on my own now, like, I can do my own things. You get that feeling, which I thought was really cool, like a grown up moment.
Mm-hmm.
And like Ahsoka notes that Kenobi hasn't changed much. Well, says that both Kenobi and Anakin haven't changed much. To which Anakin really replies, is that a bad thing? You get sort of the cool little moments next where sort of Anakin leads Ahsoka in the main hangar where he says that the troops have a surprise for her. They're very excited at the back. And you find out that the troops have painted the helmets with these Ahsoka markings, the face markings on, which obviously we'd seen in like the trailers and on the promotional T-shirts. But it was just really cool to see it happen. I think this was very clever because it shows you, like, for me, I was like, you're seeing these clones show like their attachment to Ahsoka. I'm glad she's back. They're even like modifying the armor in their own time to look like her. But then down the line, even when Order 66 gets fired off, like, they're probably not going to even think about that.
Especially when they're attacking her with that, like, wearing those helmets makes it even worse.
Yeah, again, it just shows you like the tragedy of this whole situation is just, it's absolutely huge, like the amount of tragedy that's about to take place. And even these guys who, do you know what I mean, they do sort of have freedom of speech and free will. Obviously, they have to follow orders, but like under the Jedi, like the Jedi do promote them to be themselves and have their own like beliefs and stuff. And then, like I said, with the press of a button or the sending of a communique, like these guys are just going to turn on all that. Even though the Jedi probably been the nicest to the clones out of everyone. The Senate just see the clones as tools of war, where the Jedi are fighting alongside them, like day in, day out.
Yeah.
And form relationships so deep that, like I said, these clones have modified their armor in their spare time to match Ahsoka's. And then down the line, like, it's going to really hit you in the feels when these guys turn, because you're going to see just how much they do actually care for her. And then with a flick of a switch, they no longer do. Anakin also has a surprise for her. He gives her two lightsabers that are now blue.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the lightsabers? I like how he's kept her lightsabers. Do you ever wonder, like, why she didn't take them with her?
Sort of. But then she kind of didn't want to be a part of that stuff anymore, so maybe that's a pretty big symbol of being part of the Jedi, so she just leaves it behind. Because she kind of leaves it behind like twice now.
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I wonder if the Jedi went, like, their property of the Jedi Order. You can't take them with you.
Or, yeah, possibly.
Because you wouldn't mind them on Ilum and built them with that droid in the previous seasons, who helps the droid who builds the lightsabers with the younglings on during that arc when they get attacked by pirates. So I wouldn't have, like, obviously we don't know, but I wouldn't have the Jedi Council would have been like, those lightsabers aren't like a property of the Jedi Order, so you're not here. I don't know. I would like to think they wouldn't have done that, because at the end of the day, like, a lightsaber doesn't make you a Jedi. It's probably in the galaxy, it's a sign of being a Jedi to like the normal public. They see a lightsaber, they probably think Jedi, but deep down it's not. So I like to think that they wouldn't have said you've got to be them here. But like, I think what you've just said there, I think was really cool. How like Ahsoka was probably like, I don't know where I stand in all this. I need to figure myself out. Let's leave these here. I don't need them right now. But here we go. Anakin has kept them, which shows he's always been thinking about that, and he's been fiddling with them and made them blue. So it doesn't explain how he's made them blue. So for me, I would assume we have to change the kyber crystals.
Yeah, probably.
But as we know, the kyber crystals, you can bleed them and stuff. That's how the Sith get theirs. So the Sith get their crystal by, they take a kyber crystal, whatever color it is, and like they pour the hatred and malice and anger and fear into it, and like it bleeds the crystal red. So I wonder if he's been able to, like, these were green, and obviously Ahsoka's, that's a color green, but because Anakin's had them in his possession and been sort of meditating with them and things, I wonder if they've turned blue because they've been around him.
Possibly.
Which I think could be a possibility, but we'll have to wait till Dave Filoni confirms it one day.
Or he's trying to assert his control again over his Padawan.
Well, there's a little bit of that as well, so it goes to show that, like, he'd also been thinking about it quite a lot, but also, like I said, yeah, he had been like, do you know what I mean? Did he change the colour on purpose? Possibly. Or was it just a byproduct of him meditating with them? I don't know, but like, probably he did change the colour, and he does make the joke that he made them better by making them blue. And that's quite, obviously, before we can see anything else, the alarms go off and Kenobi runs in. He says Grievous has attacked Coruscant. And he's trying to get to the Chancellor. He says that the Jedi Council sent Jedi Master Shaak Ti to be with the Chancellor, but they can't get in contact with Shaak Ti anymore. So they fear the worst. And Mace Windu requests that Skywalker and Kenobi return to Coruscant immediately, which is the beginning of Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
So I love how fast this episode moves. Obviously, we've had that nice moment of the war on the planet's surface with Anakin and Obi-Wan and Commander Cody. And then obviously, like, before you know it, like, right, we're probably hours away from the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. Anakin quickly trying to come up with a plan. And Kenobi's like, well, they can't really rule on anything because obviously they're dealing with this attack.
Mm-hmm.
I like how Ahsoka's like very disappointed that the Jedi are going to go to Coruscant, and she's like, oh, you're just going to help the Chancellor. And Obi-Wan's a bit more like, no, Coruscant needs us, not just the Chancellor. Like, there's a war happening at Coruscant. Like, look at how big that city, like, the whole planet is one big city. Like, there's a chance for like a lot of loss of life there. So I think Ahsoka's tied up in this whole thing of, I just want to get more. And Kenobi's like, well, yes, we are going to save the Chancellor, but also like Coruscant is under attack. Like, I mean, the Jedi temple's on Coruscant, so like, do you know what I mean? Like, the Jedi's home's on Coruscant, so of course they're going to go and defend it. So again, like, I think like I think Kenobi deserves some credit here. I think like they're making the right decisions, although down the line, it's probably the wrong decisions, but they're making them for the right reasons. Like, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and plus it's pretty complicated to do anything with Darth Maul.
Yeah, definitely. Skywalker sort of says that they'll split the 501st in half, promote Rex to commander, and then Ahsoka can go along as an advisor. So it means that Mandalore still gets its aid at ease while Kenobi and I can rush off. Kenobi gives his blessing, and then they rush off pretty quickly to sort of deal with this. And I love Kenobi here because he warns that, again, like, think about how much Kenobi must hate Maul because of what Maul's done to his, sort of, Maul killed his master Qui-Gon, and then Maul killed the love of his life, Satine. So Maul's done a lot of bad things against Obi-Wan. And then, but he turns to Ahsoka here and he says, Maul's hard to kill, so maybe you should capture him instead. And I think that's selfless. Again, it shows you how Kenobi is actually a really, really good, like, Jedi. Like, it's a selfless act to say, try and capture him, because when we do kill him, he usually comes back anyway. But also, like, do you know, he's took so much from my life, but let's not destroy his. So like, I really felt for Kenobi there, especially when Ahsoka's been nothing but a bit snarky with him about the Jedi Order and the Jedi Council. But I think, like, again here, he's been like a selfless man.
Yeah, and she kills him. That's taken her down the wrong path.
Yeah, definitely. Like, would it be easier for everyone if they just killed him? Yes, it would. But there's a better way of doing things. Ahsoka wishes Anakin luck in their part ways, and that's pretty much sort of the last we see of sort of Anakin and Obi-Wan. Pretty much, we'll dive into it in a bit, but obviously Anakin and Obi-Wan are now going to be in the event of Revenge of the Sith, so you can watch what they do in that movie. And then the focus is now with Ahsoka. So the Republic forces arrive on Mandalore and the launch their invasion alongside the Mandalorians of Bo-Katan, who sort of leading the resistance of Mandalorians. Sort of, I love this bit when sort of the ships are attacking and they're flying down through the skies of Mandalore towards the city. I thought that some of this animation was beautiful, the way it shows you the Republic gunships sort of flying through and the jetpacks. Obviously, Ahsoka like sort of slicing jetpacks and jumping on people and like flying through the sky very high in the air and then landing on more attack ships and running down them. It was just like, it's almost like a scene out of like an Avengers movie with like how well this looked.
It was very beautiful.
And I just think like it's just so great to see like animation be taken so seriously, and like you can actually see just how you can see like the efforts and the talent that's gone into making this show. And like with scenes like this, like it's like the ultimate payoff where like I would love to watch this on the big screen. I feel like I need to. I hope one day like they do show the Siege of Mandalore on the big screen, all 4 episodes back to back in a cinema. Because I think scenes like that would be absolutely brilliant for like the Dolby surround and like just how good that looks. We get to see Ahsoka fight quite a bit here, which obviously the last sort of the previous arc, the Ahsoka arc before, so Ahsoka didn't have her lightsabers, so we see her do some sort of martial arts and some hand-to-hand combat, but we don't really see her fight much. And then here we see her, she's got her lightsaber, she's fighting these Mandalorians, the ones like Gar Saxon's Mandalorians, who are Death Watch, who are now like Maul's Death Watch. We see Ahsoka really handle herself really well.
She's kind of a badass.
Yeah, she is. She's a badass. It reminded me, seeing how like in control she was of the situation. She was never panicked. She was using the Force and using the lightsabers. She was like grabbing hold of people on jetpacks, riding with them, then slicing and then jumping off, landing on gunships, taking out more people with jetpacks. It reminded me of like Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi when he turns up at Jabba's palace, when he finally gets his lightsaber on the sail barge and he's just taking everybody out and he's not using a blaster. The blaster's not even on his waist. And you're like, this man's different from Luke Skywalker of A New Hope and from from Empire Strikes Back. Like, this man is he's almost past that. He's spent from like boyhood into manhood. That's the feeling I get when I watch Return of the Jedi, when you see the way he handles himself on the sail barge, and like when he's got like a plan of action and he's not like half-arsing it or hesitating. I think here you see Ahsoka, like you see how much she like controls the battlefield and like takes control of the situation and just does things. She's obviously thinking about it, but it seems like she's not even thinking about it. It's just split-second decisions. And how sort of in control of the situation she is. Like it does show sort of that switch from sort of girlhood into womanhood, and just how in control like of that situation she is, and like how 100% her thought process is 100% now. Like, she's not second guessing things. She's like, no, I'm doing this and it'll get this effect. And how confident she is, just oozing confidence at this point, which I think was brilliant to see. And again, great to see that sort of, do you know what I mean, sort of that hero's journey that we're sort of seeing, that she's now like, here we are. And then in the last arc, I was a bit hesitant to sort of help the sisters and stuff. But then here, like, as you can see, she's pretty much telling Anakin Obi-Wan, I'm going here to help this. We need to help Bo-Katan. And then obviously she ends up getting away, and then when she gets there, she's still the same. She's like 100% driven, knows what she's doing, this, and this. She's a very capable warrior. It's almost like if she knows the outcome of like each movement she does before it happens. When her faith's like 100% there in her actions. But I thought was just great to see.
Which is a pretty good thing to see, because since it's the end of the whole series in a way, to see her growth from all of these years finally come to fruition.
Yeah, definitely. I think, like, obviously for fans of Ahsoka who've been there since 2008, who've seen her sort of grow from sort of the snippy, troublesome apprentice into a formidable apprentice, are now seeing her here. Obviously, she hasn't got Anakin, she hasn't got Obi-Wan. Do you know what I mean? She's the top Jedi on site, really, and she's owning it. She's doing absolutely phenomenal, and she really has sort of, like, obviously she's not the master, but it's like that phrase, like, last time we met I was but the learner, but now I am the master. What Vader says in A New Hope. Like, she's not saying that, but here she's showing that, like, no, like, I'm very capable. Here I am. Don't need Obi-Wan. Don't need Anakin. Like, I'm here, like, leading this attack, and I'm fully confident. I think it's like really great. I think obviously fans who've been with Ahsoka since sort of day one, 2008, they're getting that payoff right here, and especially for, like, it's great to see such a payoff in a woman character. Like I said, I've mentioned Return of the Jedi. We get that payoff with Luke Skywalker, the hero's journey. Obviously, he is the main protagonist of the original trilogy. But obviously, here we've got Ahsoka, who's like the lead female in this series, and, like, as I said, like, in sort of this arc, she is the main character. So it's great to see them deal with that really well. And like I said, show a woman sort of on that hero's journey, like going from girl to woman, and, like, do you know what I mean, taking control of our fears and making different decisions and doing the right thing, and, like I said, commanding the battlefield. I think it's like definitely a positive thing and a very natural thing to show. I think they do a great job here doing it in the story. So we sort of get this awesome battle in the sky. She ends up landing on the city, and there's a lot of troops there firing at Ashes, blocking all the bolts. And then obviously Bo-Katan and that land next to her, and then they start advancing on the city. They take the city pretty quickly. Obviously, we find out it's sort of Maul's plan, because Maul goes hiding in the tunnels underneath the city with his troops, and the Prime Minister of Mandalore, Almec, ends up getting captured. What did he make of Almec's suit here? How he got armored up, ready for the battle coming?
I like it.
I thought the colours reminded us a bit of Boba Fett. Like, not 100%, but just a little bit subtly. I thought maybe that was the design thing. Maybe they thought, obviously he's the first Mandalorian armor that we see in Star Wars. So I thought maybe they were a bit, let's show this Prime Minister to sort of, let's tie the colour scheme in a little bit.
Oh, with the green and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, sort of the green and the browns and the golds. Obviously it's a lot grander than Boba Fett, because obviously this man is the Prime Minister, but I thought the colour palette was maybe chosen to reflect that a bit, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, and he's got a very similar helmet too to Boba Fett.
Yeah, so I thought I maybe got that feel. He's overpowered pretty quickly. Stands his ground a little bit, but sort of Bo-Katan captures him.
Yeah, he's probably not wearing that armor very much, so he's pretty easy to take down.
Yeah, you can definitely tell he's the leader who's probably drinking a lot of wine and eating a lot of food, not really doing much fighting himself.
Yeah.
So we basically end up with essentially the sort of took the throne room. Maul's not there, and sort of Ahsoka goes down to find Maul in the tunnels, and she ends up sort of walking right into Maul's trap. Maul set a trap in the tunnels. He knows the Jedi will come straight down there for him. Ahsoka's troops who she's with in the tunnels get killed, and she's like in the middle of a cross section, and then you see the Mandos, like sort of the Death Watch Mandalorians in the Maul paint. They've got the blasters on her, and then sort of Maul comes out of the shadows. I love how Maul sort of comes. So Ahsoka's very well lit in the center here. She's very much the centerpiece of this final piece of the story for this episode. And then Maul sort of comes out the shadows, and he's a bit like he's very displeased to find that it's not Kenobi. And then so that episode ends sort of on the cliffhanger. I love this episode. I thought it did a great job of like getting us to Mandalore and moved very quickly. Did a very good job of setting a timeline. So like as the Siege of Mandalore is happening, Anakin and Obi-Wan are trying to save the Chancellor from the Invisible Hand at the beginning of Revenge of the Sith. So you know exactly where we are. And then I said the cliffhanger ending really just get us ready for like this is going to be 4 episodes, superly well connected. That's 4 episodes that you can probably watch as one movie.
Yeah, because you don't want to see the same stuff we've already seen in the movie, just animated.
Yeah, so that's why I was glad. I thought we might get that, but then I'm glad they're referencing it as a timestamp because that helps us know where the whole story is for the whole galaxy. But that's all we need, really. We don't really need to be reshown. Obviously, we've only got 22 minutes to half an hour for these episodes. So if you were to waste some of that time showing you other things that we've already seen, you would sort of lose some of this new story. What did you make of obviously Gar Saxon was back here. Obviously he is in Rebels. He's like an Imperial Mandalorian. And there's obviously Ray Stevenson was back to voice him as well. I thought that was a nice touch getting him back to voice Gar Saxon. Gar Saxon's sort of right-hand woman, Rook Cast, was voiced by Vanessa Marshall, who obviously is Harrison Dula from Rebels as well. So that was really cool. And the tactical droid at the beginning was voiced by Donald Faison, obviously from obviously Scrubs, but also obviously plays Hype Faison in Resistance. So I thought that was some really cool voice casting choices there.
Yeah, it's cool to see characters again too, and how it's all connected.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've read Son of Dathomir, Darth Maul, Son of Dathomir.
I have not finished it.
So you sort of see why Maul has these Mandalorians, what was Death Watch fighting for him. I think it's definitely worth reading. In fact, I think it would be really cool to maybe watch the episode we've just talked about, then read Son of Dathomir, and then watch The Phantom Apprentice after it, which is the next episode. I think that would be a good way to enjoy the story.
Yeah, and get a little bit more backstory on things.
Definitely, yeah, because I mean, we'll just go ahead into the next episode, and the next episode is The Phantom Apprentice. It just picks up directly where we left off. So, like, Ahsoka's trapped by Maul and his forces in the lower levels of Sundari, which is the capital of Mandalore, I believe. And Ahsoka activates a beacon on her wrist while she's stalling Maul, so Commander Rex can find her basically with more clones. But Maul's like not happy it's not Kenobi, and Maul also mentions Skywalker. She's like, the two had a more important mission.
Mm-hmm.
Maul sort of realizes something here. You see in his face, he's a bit like, I wonder where they've gone then. And then he seems to think, they've gone because Darth Sidious has activated this plan to take control and end the Jedi, which he seems quite surprised about, because I think Maul probably wasn't expecting it to happen so quick, like happen now. It's probably happened to happen later. But before we can get any more information, I mean, Maul does mention Darth Sidious here, which is very important because Ahsoka learns that name. But then Rex and his men turn up to save Ahsoka, and Maul and his men sort of run off into the tunnels to hide again.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next scene's really cool. So we're sort of back at the Sundari Royal Palace on Mandalore. Bo-Katan's there, and she's chatting with Kenobi through like a hologram. She's saying the siege is going well, and the efforts of the clone troopers are really working hard, and probably wouldn't be this way if we didn't have the clones. But they do say obviously Maul's on the run, still haven't captured him yet, and they need to catch him quickly before like this good progress is undone by that. This is when Ahsoka inquires about the name Sidious to Kenobi, and this is where we get another timestamp. So it's quite good. Obviously, Ahsoka brings up the name she just learned from Maul, Sidious to Kenobi, and then in turn, Kenobi shares a lot of information here with her, actually, which again goes to show that Kenobi isn't just a pawn of the Jedi Council. In my opinion, I think Kenobi's his own man, and he's a selfless man. So here he shares everything the Jedi Council know with these people in the room about Darth Sidious. It says Darth Sidious is the Sith Master who's played both sides of the Clone Wars from the beginning. Kenobi first learned the name from Count Dooku, but with Dooku's death at Anakin's hand, the chances of learning more from him are lost. So we learn here that battle on the Invisible Hands sort of observation deck has happened. So Anakin's killed Dooku and they've rescued the Chancellor and they're now back on Coruscant. So we sort of timestamp of where we are in the story. That's happened now. Ahsoka asks if Anakin could support them, but Kenobi privately, this is where Kenobi does send the other people away. And Kenobi says, Anakin's on a special assignment with the Jedi Council to observe the Chancellor Palpatine. And Ahsoka's quite upset with that and said, why would the Council ask him to spy on his close friend? Obi-Wan agrees that it's unfair to ask Anakin to do this, and he hopes that Ahsoka will talk to Anakin for him. Obi-Wan also says here that the Council aren't always right, he says here, which again goes to prove that he's not a pawn of the Jedi Council. He sees that the Council don't always do the right things. They might always have the best intentions, but they don't always make the right decisions. And he says, you need to speak to Anakin because obviously we've asked him to do something that's not very nice. And I think it took me back to that scene in Revenge of the Sith when the Jedi Council put Obi-Wan in the position where he has to ask him. And he asks him in a very nice way and conservative way, but it's still heartbreaking. But you can tell Kenobi's upset to be telling him. And you can see that upset here on his face as well. That he's obviously already had that conversation. You can see the concern on Obi-Wan's face as he's telling Ahsoka about it. And then basically what happens is there's attacks happening in Mandalore. Rex interrupts the meeting, and Obi-Wan's like, you better go. And then basically at that point on the Sundari on the level C deck, Clone Squad reports that Maul attacked them. There's one survivor, and the survivor tells Ahsoka that Maul has took Jesse, the ARC Trooper, alive, as Maul could tell he was an older clone. So he's obviously fought more with Anakin and Ahsoka, so he knows more. And deep in the tunnels, we see that sort of Jesse's held by Gar Saxon who cast while Maul questions him. I love this scene when Maul's questioning Jesse, and it took me right back to The Force Awakens when Kylo Ren's interrogating Poe Dameron. And I love that bit of Poe, how it was reminiscent of that. Obviously Maul's using the Force, he's got his hand out reach and he's in Jesse's head. So Jesse's probably not really telling him much. But because Jesse can't resist for too long, obviously Maul just gets all the information out of his head using this dark side manipulation and dark side interrogation technique. So as soon as he lifted his hand up, I was like, this is not going to go well. I knew what he was doing because I'd seen it in The Force Awakens with Kylo Ren. And then at that point, Maul sends Gar Saxon to eliminate Prime Minister Almec, who's also been captured by the Republic, so that he doesn't give them any more information. I think he senses that Almec can be a little bit of a snake and a rat, and so if Almec thinks it'll get him out of trouble, he'll tell the Republic anything that they want to know. And that's when you see the busy interrogating Almec, and Almec tells her that Maul was after. Obviously, he's heard Sidious, and then he mentions Skywalker, but obviously Gar Saxon shoots him and kills him before he can give any more information, and Bo-Katan chases him. We get a cool fight scene here in the elevator system of the palace with Bo-Katan and Gar Saxon, which I thought again was it was a mix between Mission Impossible and the Avengers movie. I got the feeling of I've seen him Mission Impossible 1 where he's on top of the lift and he's hacking in.
Yeah, I
got those vibes watching it, and then also obviously. And I got the mass vibes of a big Avengers movie, the way they were brawling in it. So it was that was really cool.
Captain America, yeah. It's always cool to see the other people fight, and it's not just Jedi fighting.
Yeah, especially when obviously we've been teased since the beginning of Star Wars, really, how powerful, how capable these Mandalorians are. And so in scenes like this, we really get to see it. Gar Saxon and Bo-Katan go at it. Two very capable soldiers, and it was a brilliant battle. And obviously, I think Gar Saxon knows he can't get away, so he sets it up where Bo-Katan's going to make a choice, save her own life by holding the lift up, and he manages to get away. And like I said, he's done his job because he's killed the Prime Minister Almec. I thought here when Almec's dying, he says the word Skywalker to Ahsoka. It reminisced me of when Yoda was dying, and he says there is another Skywalker just before he dies.
Yeah.
like the way the line was delivered, and sort of the musical cues was sort of very similar. I thought it took me right back to that, which I thought again Star Wars is poetry, and that very much took me back to that moment. How do you feel about obviously Maul? Maul's had a vision about Anakin.
And what do you mean?
So obviously, Almec here shares to Ahsoka before he dies that Maul claims to have had a vision about one person called Skywalker. And that's why not only was he leading Anakin there, but Obi-Wan there, but he knew that Anakin would come with Obi-Wan, and he wanted to kill them both.
It's interesting that Maul might know like what's happening or in the future of how all this kind of goes down.
Yeah, I find it concerning because obviously, well, not concerning, but obviously Maul obviously learns through his vision about like what Sidious's plans are for Anakin. But I find it cool and interesting of how like the Cosmic Force decided to give Maul that vision, like as if maybe the Force was like, if we give Maul the vision, Maul might try and stop it from happening. Maybe it won't happen.
Yeah, because especially when he's talking about like, oh, so he's the apprentice. I'm not gonna really be the one that's a part of this.
He talks more about it. Where he's like, he calls like Dooku an old fool, and he thought that he hated Dooku for so long, but then he learned that like, oh, Dooku's the same as me, just cast aside. Me and Dooku cast aside, waiting for this man Skywalker, who he's groomed from childhood, to be his proper apprentice when he rules the galaxy, and he wants to rid Sidious of that. Because if he wasn't good enough, then no one is. And I'll rid you of you. I'll rid you of your apprentice. See, I found it very interesting that the Force decided to. I mean, we don't know how he got the vision. Maybe he's touched a hologram like he does in Rebels to get a vision, or maybe, like I said, maybe like the Force has come to him and give him a vision. Because usually the Force works when it gives you visions. It's to like the Force is doing it to sort of drive you towards to doing something, doing a good act usually. So maybe like the Force is saying, "Oh, like this guy hates the Supreme Chancellor so much, hates Sidious so much. Let's show him what might happen, and is most probably going to happen, and it might motivate him to react and maybe stop it from happening," which is what Maul does try to do. So it's funny how like the Cosmic Force would turn to such a vile individual, like an evil individual, to try and get something good to happen. Yeah, I found that very interesting. I would love to speak to the story group about that, about like what the case is with that. That's because I'm just hypothetically saying that. I don't know for sure, but if the Force has done that, it leads to a lot more questions about the Force, I think, and what the Force can actually do. So after the Gar-Saxon estate, we then go back to Maul, who's having a holocaust with the Shadow Collective leaders. So obviously Maul's head of the Shadow Collective. The Shadow Collective is essentially a group of crime syndicates that are sort of working together under him. I really enjoy this because we do see the Pikes. We do see Crimson Dawn. Obviously, Dryden Voss is in the hologram as well. So linked in straight to Solo, which I thought was really, really good and powerful to do. And again, Star Wars' poetry, subtly linking everything together. I thought it was really cool that we did see Dryden Voss. And then we also see I've forgotten his name, but there's another member of the Shadow Collective. He's been in earlier seasons of Clone Wars because they were on Mandalore for a bit. It's a Black Sun. It's Black Sun, it's their leader. I can't remember his name. Like, you're probably right with that. He's there as well. And essentially he tells them they're going to hide in a bit because the galaxy's about to change. Because since he spoke with Ahsoka and knows Kenobi and Anakin aren't there, he senses that essentially Maul doesn't know what Order 66 is, but he knows that something like that's going to happen, that's going to change the galaxy. So he tells the Shadow Collective leaders to sort of go into hide and operate in the shadows a lot more than they already do, just for now, and we'll see what happens with the chaos. Maul also thanks Saxon and Cass for freeing him from Sidious's prison, which again is direct link to the Son of Dathomir comic book. So Maul's like in the prison in Son of Dathomir, and his Mandalorian Death Watch troops come to save him, to break him out. And during this comic as well, he also ends up fighting Dooku and teaming up with Dooku against the Republic, and then goes back to fighting him again. So he does learn from Dooku, like in this comic book, a little bit, and learns who he is and what he's about. And like I said, that's why he's a bit like, sort of doesn't hate Dooku so much now, because he knows that Dooku's the same as him, just an apprentice plucked out of nowhere to do Darth Sidious's bidding. But really, you're not going to be there for the long haul, because Sidious's plan is Skywalker, and it has been all along. So you referenced the comic book here as well. So I think so you could have, like, we've had a solo reference with Dryden Voss, and then we've had like a link to the comic book here as well. Son of Dathomir, like in the same scene, basically. Which again just subtly ties the Star Wars galaxy together so much, which I think is so good. And then sort of on the surface we see sort of the clones escort the civilian population into shelters, and then that's when sort of it goes back to the throne room, and Darth Maul's in the throne room, he's seated there. Bo-Katan attacks. Maul sort of uses the Force to move our blaster shots away, which I thought was really cool. Really cool to see that type of Force power. And then he sort of repels her with a Force choke. And he claims that he wishes to deal with Ahsoka alone. And then as a show of good faith, he's got Jesse with him, and he releases Jesse as well. And while that's happening, sort of Saxon and the forces, the Mandalorian commandos, who we used to be Death Watch, attack, which means that the clones and Bo-Katan have to go and deal with that. And that leaves Ahsoka alone with Maul in the throne room. Obviously, Maul's learned about Ahsoka through going in Jesse's mind, and he's sort of like, oh, you were driven away from the Jedi Order because of the hypocrisy of them. I was the same with the Sith, and he's trying to like see how they're very similar. He's trying to get her to join him. As usual, Maul, he's always trying to get someone to be underneath him, which I find quite tragic when you think about how he feels now because of how Sidious treated him. Then all he seems to want to do is get someone underneath him. It goes to show that like he's not really a good person. He's cool, he can fight well and looks awesome, but he's not a nice guy because he doesn't learn from that. He does not like, oh well, I felt that way, so I won't treat someone else like that. He's like, I'll do the same to someone else. Sort of Maul wants Ahsoka's help to Sidious, and Ahsoka agrees to help him, but Maul's got to answer one question, and she wants to know, obviously, what was in his vision with Anakin, because obviously she learned about the vision from Almec. Maul replies that he wanted to draw Anakin and Mandalore to strike him down. He thought the chosen one's destiny would be Sidious's new apprentice. Ahsoka refuses to believe it and ignites her lightsabers. She calls him a liar. Maul draws his own, and he decides to get the Padawan one last lesson. This is quite tragic because obviously like Maul's telling the truth, and like Maul might not. Obviously, Maul's telling the truth based on the vision he had, so maybe the vision could be wrong. And obviously, like Ahsoka knows Anakin and probably would like to think he wouldn't turn the dark side, but like Maul's sort of telling the truth here.
Yeah, because we haven't really seen anything that would showcase Anakin just fully going to the dark side yet, especially from her point of view.
So as an audience, we've seen little things, but from her point of view, like definitely not. And she's been away from him for like at least a few months at this point, and then only seen him on that ship at the beginning of the last episode. So I think like it's a bit tragic in a way. I think if Maul went about it a different way, if Maul described it in a different way, saying I brought him here to kill him because he's going to become evil. If Maul described it, oh well, I had this vision and I saw this, this, and this. That's what I saw. Like Ahsoka might be like, all right, I might look into that a bit more, because the way Maul says it so vilely, obviously she doesn't believe him. So the firefight outside the palace intensifies, and we get to see some cool clones versus Mandalorians, and the Mandalorians are winning a bit. And then obviously Bo-Katan arrives with the Night Owls, and they turn the tide in the battle outside, which was really cool to see. And then we have this lightsaber battle take place in the palace. I mean, obviously this is the lightsaber battle that is motion captured with Ray Parker's Maul. It's also been part of it was mentioned a celebration of the panel, and obviously there's been a little like couple of minute documentary about it put on YouTube, which is worth watching if you haven't seen it. But you can tell straight away the way Maul moves. But A, it's definitely Ray Park, and B, that it's not the normal animation we used to. Like it has been. They haven't just moved the character like Ray Park. Like it is Ray Park moving, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah, the motion capture is really good.
It almost like glides. The animation glides past you, like it's almost like, I don't know, like it's almost better than perfect, if that makes sense.
It's more realistic in a way.
Yeah, like I thought I was watching something like it almost felt like more real than real, if that makes sense. Because the action sequences we're getting in this show are really good. Do you know what I mean? So I already see them as being really good and real. So when you get this, it seemed like more real than real, or like the way to describe it, and it was magnificent. I mean, the battle is really awesome. The lightsaber battle is great. Sort of some cool little quips here when Maul tells Ahsoka she has Kenobi's arrogance. And Ahsoka like slyly replies that she's probably got many traits she's inherited from her masters that Maul would hate. Obviously, there's some cool stuff here. So like the windows smash on the palace quite a lot.
Yeah.
And like for me, like that was like when they smash, it's a bit like the galaxy's about to smash. if that makes sense. So obviously, like, Order 66 is about to happen, and Palpatine's about to become Emperor in the next, like, well, within the same day as it's happening, really. So, like, when that glass smashes, and, like, they make a big point of it smashing and the smoke coming into the room before they start fighting, to me, I was like, this is, like, symbolic of, like, the galaxy's about to smash. Everything these characters know is about to smash. I thought it was just really, like, really simple but powerful sort of imagery.
Yeah, and very beautiful.
Yeah, very beautiful. And then I found out, like, when they start fighting, obviously that was like a brilliant battle. Obviously Maul goes to run away, Ahsoka chases him, and then again when they're fighting, when they go up into the rafters of the city, so the city has like a glass roof over it, and Maul again smashes the glass there to try and get out. So again, there's more glass smashing there, which is again to me says like, all right, like the galaxy as we know it's about to smash. Everything we know is about to be shattered. And then for me, like during this battle at the top, when sort of Maul's got stuck on the beam, and he's got to slice the beam in front of him, and that's what he heard that with. But because he's Maul, he never learns. He's got to always have the last word. He loves to talk. And like I said, gives her the opportunity to sort of get behind him. Then she obviously like gets him off the beam. I love how Ahsoka saves him though. Like follows Obi-Wan's advice, doesn't let him fall. She holds him in the air. The clones have gone up, and the clones sort of catch him with like Gatling guns with their grappling guns. It's like ropes. And to me, like it's very much like a spider's web. You got caught in a spider's web. Also, the roof, which is glass, the struts are like a spider's web as well. Which to me, obviously, like Maul came back as a spider. For those who don't know, like he had like spider's legs when he was like being, or when they find him as like when he's mad Maul when they first find him, and then to find that this is how he gets captured, like as a spider. It's like the predator becomes the prey almost in this scene, just with a simple like imagery of like a web. So like I got that feeling of like he's been caught in a web, and then when he gets wrapped around with the ropes from the grappling gun, that was like getting tangled in a web, which I thought was just really simple but powerful imagery. What were your thoughts about the battle? Is it the best battle you've seen in Star Wars?
Yeah, it's one of the best ones, and and it's shot so well, and just the choreography was just really really good between the two of them.
Yeah, I think the choreography was awesome, but I think the way the thing's shot is like, do you know what I mean? If you'd shot that with actors, like and done live action, like it would probably be up for like best duel at like the MTV Movie Awards or something at the end of the year. So I think like we really have to give credit to this team because they're producing movie quality, like set pieces and battles, but with animation, which I think's like not really been done much before. Certainly not at this level, anyway.
Yeah, because it's all mocapped and motion capture in a studio, and that's why you can totally tell it's Ray Park and his moves.
Yeah, definitely. So sort of after they capture Maul, sort of that ship's gone. That was there to pick up Maul from the roof, and it ends with Ahsoka looking up into the gap in the roof. And that's how it ends. So it ends on sort of no cliffhanger. Maul's been captured. As I said, we've had confirmation now that Maul's had the vision of like Anakin turning to the dark side, and he's given that information to Ahsoka, who sort of just disbelieves it straight away. So the next episode, which is called Shattered, which I suppose ties right in what I was just saying before about sort of the glass breaking and the galaxy not being the same ever again. Sort of this episode is called Shattered, so it sort of takes its name from that imagery they portrayed at the end of the last episode. So this episode starts with obviously the Siege of Mandalore has been won. Sort of Bo-Katan greets Ahsoka and Rex and congratulates her, and she's quite impressed that they've captured them all. But she is weary of the cost on the Mandalorian people and does say like these troops need to get off the planet soon, otherwise like the people will start to rise against the clones. Bo-Katan wishes she could accomplish more than war. And Ahsoka sort of says that she's a strong leader that the people need, which sort of ties into Bo-Katan's arc coming in soon in Rebels. And the Jedi Council are waiting to speak with Ahsoka, and she goes into sort of one of those sort of barrack chambers, similar to what Anakin went to in the first episode when he messaged Padme. She goes into one of them, and in the meeting, Mace Windu's there with Kylie Mundi, with Yoda, and I always get her name wrong, with like a female member of the Jedi Council as well.
Ayla?
Yes, I believe. Yeah. Is it Isla Sicaria? Sabina Sicaria.
Yeah, something around there.
She's the one who dies on Felucia, isn't she? I think.
I think so.
So, I think obviously Windu here says he's sensed the plot to destroy the Jedi. So this is the conversation that happens in Revenge of the Sith with the Jedi Council and when they decide to go and arrest Chancellor Palpatine. I thought this was really good to do. Obviously, the other Jedi haven't sort of joined in yet, but he sets out to destroy the Jedi, and they decide that they must sort of arrest him if he's not going to relinquish his emergency powers. To which Windu says that line from the movie, and the Jedi Council have to take control of the Senate for a safe transmission. And Water warns them, as he does in the movie, like this dark line could lead to like not very nice places. The council then greets Ahsoka. He informs them of capture. Yoda thanks her for service to the Republic. Ahsoka says she just did her duty as a citizen, and Yoda says not as a Jedi. And then Ahsoka says not yet, which I found really powerful from Yoda here. So like Yoda sort of saying here that like come back almost. Like, do you know what I mean? If she'd said, "Oh, as a Jedi," he probably would have went come back. But she said not yet. And I like that she says not yet. To go show that she's not 100% done with like being a Jedi. She just needs to figure things out. Right, so she hasn't left to turn to the dark side, do bad things. She's left and done nice things, if anything. So I really enjoyed that scene of like of how like Yoda sort of tries to hint that she could come back, and she says not yet. So she hints at like, yes, I will come back at some point, I believe. And obviously, we know she won't come back to being a Jedi, but like she does come back to being involved in the war as a Jedi would in the Civil War of the original trilogy, if that makes sense. Which I think is like quite a powerful and a symbol of hope here. We then get Mace Windu here with a line where sort of Ahsoka asks what the next plot plan is, and Windu says this is a conversation for the Jedi Council, not for a citizen. Sort of uses the word she said against her here. And I just think you come across as an absolute twerp here, Mace Windu. It's funny, like Mace Windu. I remember, like, I really wanted a Mace Windu figure, like during like the prequel trilogy coming out. I couldn't find one anywhere, and I finally got one in Disneyland Paris, in the shop there, like their version Tatooine traders, and I got it and I loved it. It was awesome. But then, like since then, like as an adult, I just find Mace Windu just a problem. Like, do you know what I mean? He's so like he's very arrogant, and also like he's very like these. I would say, I don't know. Do you think he's angry?
Spiteful, maybe?
Yeah, so that I think anger is a strong word to use, so like maybe not, but spiteful I think is perfect. That's yeah. So spiteful, yeah. Like I just think here, just like if he just let Ahsoka stay, then like Ahsoka probably would have like shared with him what Maul said about Anakin, and they go getting their heads up because he's like dismissed that, and then obviously the other Jedi vanish one by one, but Yoda stays on the call, and he says, "Have you got anything else you say? Anything else you need to say? Maybe a message for Anakin." And Ahsoka thinks about it, pauses, but doesn't. Says she'll tell him later.
Yeah, because maybe she would have said what she wanted to say if he was a little bit nicer.
What's quite tragic. So, like on the way to the call, she's like, "Oh, is General Scout on the call?" He's like, "He was there when I was there before I left," type of thing. I think. Well, she's since left the call because he's probably having his bit now where he'd be with the Chancellor, and the Chancellor will be telling them the stories of the Sith. And when he pulls the lightsaber on him, and Anakin goes running at the Jedi Temple. I think that conversation with Sidious is probably happening as this is happening now. So she misses that opportunity.
Though maybe she thinks that the other people aren't going to believe anything that she tells them.
Possibly, yeah. I think so, especially the way Windu goes on there. But I think if Windu would be nice and said, "Oh, well, listen here, Ahsoka, you've done a good job, so you deserve to listen what's next," I think she might have been a bit more forthcoming. But I think because he's been an absolute arse to her, like she's just saying, "Oh well, like you're just how you always are." Another thing I forgot to mention, we've got a timestamp in the last episode when Ahsoka was talking to Obi-Wan through the thing. Obviously, Obi-Wan said he was about to leave for Utapau to track down General Grievous. In this hologram conversation here in this episode, Windu does say that Anakin's going to inform the Chancellor Obi-Wan's assault on General Grievous has begun, which is what happens in the movie. Obviously, Anakin goes to tell Palpatine that Obi-Wan's started to engage Grievous, and that's when Palpatine's like, "Oh, I'm surprised I didn't send you on the mission." And that's when he lets that he's a Sith Lord, and then Anakin pulls the lightsaber on him. Then Anakin doesn't know what to do, so he leaves and goes and tells the Jedi Council, doesn't he? So that is all about what happened, like as this is going on. So all this conversation took place. Ahsoka and Rex sort of say goodbye to Bo-Katan, Ursa and the Night Owls, and Maul's in a specialized force wielder prison from an ancient era, which looks like a coffin, to be honest. I thought it looked like a coffin, the way like an Egyptian coffin that you put a pharaoh in. I thought that's what this device looked like. So Maul's in this device. Another thing was like when he, I got like Hannibal Lecter vibes with Maul here. So Maul's in this coffin where he's got a face mask on over his face. He's locked in this coffin where he can't get out. He can see out of it, but he can't, like, and it's designed for force wielders to keep them imprisoned. Obviously dating back, the Mandalorians have had big problems with force wielders from like the old Mandalorian wars that happened hundreds and thousands of years ago. Obviously, Bo-Katan says this is the last one because Duchess Satine did try to get rid of the other ones. This is the last one. But yeah, I got proper like Hannibal Lecter, Silence of the Lambs vibes when this coffin come out and Maul's inside it. Like, you know, when they're transporting Lecter and he's got the face mask on and he's in the vest. He's in the, what they're called, the vests where they have your hands tied.
Like a straitjacket?
That's the one, straitjacket, sorry, not but yeah. Like, I very much got that vibe here. And I found, like, also, so that sort of, they bring Maul out and put him on board the ship. They have the conversation. So you're getting these horror vibes from Maul. And then I found the soundtrack was very much, like, different. It was like, it sounded a bit like Blade Runner, the soundtrack. And I also found it to be, like, because of the way the soundtrack was, it was creating quite a feeling of, like, tenseness in me. And I haven't felt that type of tenseness watching a movie before. The last time I felt that was when I watched Sicario.
Oh, yeah.
With how the soundtrack makes that movie, do you know what I mean? For example, it'll just be like it'll be a high angle shot of cars driving in Sicario, right? But because of the way the music is, you feel quite tense watching it as if something's about to happen. So I got that, like, it reminded us of that. So again, here you see Maul's in this coffin, he's getting wheeled out. They're going to put him on the ship. But because of the soundtrack, I just felt like really tense. I was like, something's going to happen. Something's about to happen. And obviously, as we know, maybe not in this exact scene, but in the galaxy as a whole, Anakin and the Jedi are about to go and face the Chancellor, and he's about to make Anakin Darth Vader. So like that tenseness I felt immensely through this use of the soundtrack.
I think they seem to be going more electronic with their music, starting to almost feel Lynchian in a way too.
Yeah, definitely. I think it ties into that ominous music when like during that scene in Revenge of the Sith, like after, like when Anakin's walking with Palpatine and Palpatine tells him he's a Sith Lord, like there's that similar type of feel and music there. It's very different from normal Star Wars music. And then obviously when Anakin comes back and takes off Windu's hand and he gets thrown out when Sidious knights Anakin Vader, it's sort of that ominous music as well, just before the Imperial March plays. So it's sort of very similar to that as well, which ties into sort of that feeling there. So from that point, sort of it goes to on board the Venator class Star Destroyer. So heading towards Coruscant, and Rex and Ahsoka on the bridge. So I make some good points here. She says that like the Jedi are keepers of the peace, not soldiers. But like ever since she's been a Padawan, she's been a soldier, and it's such like it's 100% true. So this is a Jedi who's been brought up in the temple and been told war's bad, but as soon as she got made from a youngling to a Padawan and got put in Anakin's care, like she's been a soldier fighting in the war.
Yeah.
And to me, that's why the Jedi are doomed, because I mean they get involved in the war for the right reasons, because they have to, like, to help, and obviously they don't cause the war, but like that's how Palpatine knows he traps them, because he knows as soon as they get involved in that war, that everything they've ever stood for is going to be tore down. And like they say, the younger generation of Jedi are just all they're experiencing is war, total war. So he sort of tears them down from the inside, if that makes sense, which is sort of very, very tragic. Because it's a bit like, I don't know, if you've got a student and you've taught them not to do war, but then they're just going to do war when they become a Padawan. It means down the line when you're like, oh, war's bad, don't do it, you'll be like, well, we've just done it for 4 years, not a problem. Do you know what I mean? So like, essentially, like, yeah, as soon as the Clone War starts and the Jedi get involved, like the Jedi are doomed from that point on. And I think like that line from Ahsoka, again, it's Mace Windu's line that she copies, keep the peace, not soldiers. But then she says, I've been a soldier since I've been a Padawan, nothing but a soldier. And like I think when hearing her say that really did lead me down the thing of like, oh God, like as soon as this war started and they got involved, they were doomed. Like, but we do get a cool thing where sort of Rex is talking about the war. He says, "Oh well, the clones like the war because if the well not like it, but the clones have mixed feelings about the war because if the war didn't exist, they wouldn't exist." And Ahsoka says, "The Republic couldn't ask for better soldiers, nor her a better friend," and sort of salute each other, which I thought was a very powerful scene. Especially when we know what's next about to happen next as well. A very powerful scene. So yeah, next obviously they're in hyperspace and Rex like, I'm going to go and look at the battle report from. I'm going to go and get the briefing from the Republic. Do you want to come and look? And she's like, no. Probably says no because she's probably feeling bad about that since what Windu said to her. Because he sort of thought, I might have an update on Kenobi's battle on Utapau against Grievous. She's like, no, you go. I'll wait here. So Rex leaves the room, and that's when it shows you Maul's face first inside his coffin. And you can see him like feeling things, and then it shows you Ahsoka's. And then they do the voiceover of like Mace Windu and Anakin encountering Darth Sidious. And Anakin being like, what have I done? And obviously Order 66 has begun to happen. And that's what they can feel. They can feel all the death across the galaxy. Which is like really, really sad and tragic.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah, and I think that like realizing that Anakin is in danger, Ahsoka rushes to tell Rex. But obviously inside that room, Rex has got the communicator open and he's got Sidious in front of him, who issues Order 66. For me, I found something really strange here is that sort of Rex referred to him as Lord Sidious, not Chancellor Palpatine. So to me, it was just like an even more dig at the Jedi, because it was like, yeah, like clones know I'm a Sith now, and it's the Sith who are going to destroy you. So it was like another kick in the teeth for the Jedi. I find it cool how Rex is like fights the program a bit, and he urges Ahsoka to find fives, and then he starts shooting at her. She sort of takes Rex down, bangs his head on the glass panel. She's blocking all the lightsaber, all the blaster shots coming at her, while Rex is sort of knocked out a bit on the floor. And then she realizes she's going to get overpowered, so she sort of dives through the ceiling of the war room and goes on the run, hiding. And Rex puts his helmet on. Rex is like, destroy all the escape pods. We need to find her. He also says to execute Maul. So I found this like, yeah, I thought it was really cool how Rex managed to like give Ahsoka a clue, but also tragic how like ultimately he couldn't stop that programming.
And how convenient that they had a heart-to-heart like right before it.
Yeah, definitely. Like it was just like so tragic. Made me think maybe that heart-to-heart they had is why he was able to resist a little bit to give her a clue, because he just had that heart-to-heart moment with her, hadn't he? So maybe because of that, when he got the order, he was able to hesitate just for a moment to give her the clue about fives before he opens fire. Maybe if they don't have a heart-to-heart, if she doesn't have such a care moment with him, maybe he does just open fire straight away. Which again goes to show why you should love people and why you should care about people and be kind to people. Like I said right here, it gives her a split second to get the information she needs. So Sora sort of goes on the run, and she finds her former astromech co-pilot R7, which I thought was really cool. Tries to wake him up, he wakes up. And then two other droids wake up GG and Cheap, who's essentially just a chopper, which I thought was really cool, the way he talks and stuff. Obviously, he is voiced by Dave Filoni as well. But I like how like the droids are just like, oh, like yeah, the clones are going nuts out there, so we're just in here hiding, type of thing. So obviously, you can't hear what they're saying. Well, that's the impression I get. Is that they're sort of like, oh yeah, the clones are going nuts out there, and we're just obviously here. And obviously, all the way out through Star Wars, like the droids have been like usually assisty heroes and are usually good guys and good souls. If that makes sense. Like R2D2 will do anything for anyone. So we'll say through PO, you might complain about it, but you still do it. Do you know what I mean? All throughout the saga, R2D2 and C3PO, like although C3PO does complain about everything, like they still will do anything for anyone to help the situation. So I think like here, obviously she goes to R7, ends up getting GG and Cheap as well, and the droids are like, oh yeah, we'll help you, because like the clones out there are going berserk. We don't know why. So I thought it was a really cool tie in the message of Star Wars about how like you can almost treat the droids almost as like servants and stuff. So that's what they're built for. But you should always treat people nicely, because Ahsoka did treat R7 nicely and did treat the other ones nicely, and she's got a reputation. The droids are like, oh yeah, we'll help you, no problem at all, no questions asked. Same as Luke, obviously, like he treats R2D and C3PO nicely. So guess what? They'll do anything for him, and it goes back to a thing of like, you can treat people nicely and they'll be nice to you. which is like the message of hope that you get from Star Wars. So I thought this was very George Lucas. Like the fact I just turned to the droids to help, and the droids like, oh yeah, we'll help, no problem. Like I thought this was so George Lucas. It was awesome. I think George recently said one of his favorite episodes is the one where is the D Squad episodes from Clone Wars, and like of course it is. Do you know what I mean? Because it's so wacky and weird. And his favorite episodes when the droids are stuck in the desert. I think the 4 droids. So again, here like that just made us think of George when these droids rock up. Sort of R7 helps search through the computer and finds the file in fives. Obviously through the information Rex give her. They got that Camino scientist Nala C, who will learn to be an evil little conniving nasty person in the Lost Missions episodes. Says that obviously like we've presented a report to the Jedi Council and the Senate, and they're happy that it's the inhibitor chip led to Five's death, and that's what made him kill the Jedi. Because Fives obviously is a clone whose inhibitor chip went off early, and he killed his Jedi general in battle. So a big warning sign went off there for the Jedi, but they get this report back from the Camino and the Science Committee, and them and the Republic sort of agree with it. So it's a big cover-up basically on the Camino side. And then there's a sort of a grievance that Rex puts in. Rex expresses concern that the inhibitor chips may have an unknown purpose, as Fives insisted on during those episodes. It's worth noting as well that while this is happening, Ahsoka has set them all free, which I thought the scene was brilliant again, like talking about how we spend a lot of this arc with character and not just all action. So when Ahsoka lets Maul out, Maul's like, you can see he's put up buzzing. He's like, "Oh, you come back for me." And you can see in his face he's got a big speech planned about how she's going to be his apprentice and all that. And then she's like, "No, I'm letting you go because I need a distraction. That is the only reason why. Like, there's thousands of clones on this ship want to kill us, so I'm going to let you go so they can chase you as well." And then Maul's like, "All right." He's a bit like put off by that. And then when Maul's like, "Can you give us a fighting chance?" he says to Ahsoka, essentially insinuating like, "You've got 2 lightsabers there, so give me one." And just like, you don't understand. Like, I'm not rooting for you. Like, you're the bad guy. Like, I hope you get killed by the clones. But for me to have any chance of escape, I need you to run right over there. But I'm not giving you anything to help you. Like, no way. So I thought it was really good. I'm glad they didn't team up. Because when she got there, I thought, oh, are they going to team up? I was like, I hope not.
Yeah, it was better that they go their separate ways.
Yeah, I think alignment. Yeah, and I think it would have been easier for her to team up with him. Like, easier for them to have to show the team up. But I think she was like, that's the easy way out. But like, guess what? No, like, you're a bad person. I'm here because of you. No, I'm gonna take the harder path, but it's the better path. Like, the easiest path isn't always the right path, if that makes sense. So sort of Ahsoka gives her that message here. So yeah, so sort of Ahsoka uses the droids to set a trap for Rex, where they trap him in a hallway and they shut all the doors. And then sort of the droids electrocute Rex and they take him to the medical bay, where they're trying to find the chip in his head. They can't find it. And that's when Ahsoka jumps on the medical bed and grabs sort of Rex's face and sort of meditates with him and just saying, "I am one with the Force and the Force is with me. I am one with the Force and the Force is with me," which obviously is direct link to Rogue One in the on the Guardians of the Wills, which I thought was took us by surprise, but like a nice surprise. It was awesome. So it goes to show what these Jedi know about this. So maybe it is more of a Jedi thing than a Guardians of the Wills. I mean, we don't really know much about the Guardians of the Wills and what they do. But to me, it was like, oh, they're very connected to the Jedi then, if the Jedi know this as well. So she meditates with Rex, and then the chip shows up, and then she's like, "Get the chip out of his head now." And R7 tells the medical droid to get the chip out of his head. And then I believe that the episode ends with Ahsoka sort of lightsabers on, facing the door. The clones in their side are cutting through the door to get to them, and Rex is getting the chip out of his head. So another cliffhanger ending before we go into the finale. I thought this episode was like so good, even though like we didn't get many battles like the previous episode, but we got so much character development and character moments on a deep level that it was just phenomenal. I think with Star Wars, like obviously, like you've got explosions, blaster fire, lightsabers, spaceships flying around. It's like the movie's very much an adrenaline filled movie, but underneath Star Wars, like even the original, is these characters. And it's these characters that we love. And that's why Star Wars is as big as it is. That's why we love Star Wars, which we do. Because there's these characters that we can get to know and identify with and love and hate. and root for and root against. It's very much based on like mythology that way, rather than just being a sci-fi extravaganza. There's also, I mean, like it's almost like it's not just a Michael Bay movie, if that makes sense. If you get that terminology, like there's that level of it, that aesthetic, where it's awesome to watch and beautiful to watch, and a lot going on, and it's awe-inspiring that way. But then there's that deeper level of character all through Star Wars, which is why we keep coming back to it and why we get attached to it. And I think this episode was a lot more of that going on than battles, which was really cool. And again, we got to see the Ahsoka's moment with Rex just before he turns, and then Ahsoka's moment with the droids, and then again Ahsoka's moment with Maul when she was like, "No, like I'm not rooting for you. I'll let you out to cause a distraction. I'm not giving you a lightsaber. You go that way." And like, she didn't say it, but she was almost like, "I hope you die going that way." Like, do you know what I mean? Whatever. Like, you go that way, and I'm concentrating on what I'm doing. So like that's what I really dug about this episode. How did you feel? How did you feel about this episode being like the penultimate episode?
They definitely laid it on with how emotional I'm probably going to feel for the next one, with just how everything went, a little bit more like heart to heart with Rex and Ahsoka, and just the impending doom of it all. There's no way for them to stop what's happening. And I think it was done very, very well.
Yeah, I think definitely. I think like they've set it up where obviously, I don't know, it's sort of like tragic that Ahsoka can only really save one clone here, because obviously she hasn't got the power or the ability or the bodies to like reach out to all the clones and get the chips out. So she's obviously like gone to Rex because that's her closest friend, and also he's the one who hesitated in killing her at the beginning. But like deep down, she probably wants to save them all. But guess what? Like, no, like you've managed to get Rex, and this might work, it might not. But she's risking everything on trying to bring Rex back, because she refuses to kill him, which I think is again a very selfless act. Like, it would be easier for her to just kill Rex and kill all the clones and get off the ship. Like, if she was just killing them, she would probably breeze through a lot of them. And as long as she was careful where she went and hid as well, got a good chance of getting off. But like, do you know what I mean, she's not ready to do that to them. The next episode, Victory in Death, the finale of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So as you know, when this episode starts, all our 66 has happened. So when this episode starts, we're probably at the bit where Kenobi's probably reached Yoda on Bail Organa's ship, and they're discussing what's happened. So it's probably where we're doing that movie. And then at the same time as that's going on, here we are, Ahsoka's getting Rex's chip out of his head. So Rex comes to with chips out of his head, which is really, really good. Obviously positive news for Ahsoka and for us as fans. Obviously she asks if he's all right, and he's like yeah, I'm fine, type of thing. And also in that moment, like, she hasn't got her lightsabers up, so if he comes to and he's not fixed, like, he's just going to shoot her. But just very much like, this is like the last chance for me. Like, I've put everything on this. Like, I want him to be okay. I hope he is. But like, if he's not, he's not, type of thing. So yeah, so as that happens, obviously she finds out he's all right, so that's a positive thing. She tells him to set his blasters to stun, like the troops are going to kill her, and she's like, no, like, we don't want to hurt them. Like, they're not acting because they want to, that because they've been told to. While this is happening, sort of Maul is on the loose. He's having some like Vader-esque moments. Maul from Rogue One, the hallway scene from Rogue One with Vader.
Mm-hmm.
Maul has a salon, and Maul's walking down the corridor, and the clones are shooting at him, and he's pulling the wall panels off the wall, so he's using them to block the blaster bolts. And then like he uses the Force to throw one of the ball panels, and it like decapitates 2 clones. And then he sends another one, it sandwiches a clone at the wall, almost cutting a clone in half. And then he pulls the clone's arm through a blast door that he then shoots, and the arm gets chopped off by the blast door, just so he can steal the comlink, so he can find out, he can listen to everything that the clones are saying to each other, so he knows where to avoid and where to go. And so he's very thought out and very evil and very meticulous in what he's doing. And he then heads to the hyperdrive room, where he destroys the hyperdrive. The Star Destroyer comes out of hyperspace. Is breathtaking, that scene. It comes out of hyperspace, and it's smoldering wreck gliding through space. I thought that looked really beautiful in a horrible way, if that makes sense. But just seeing such a big, like, powerful class Star Destroyer just as a mess, just gliding in the dead of space, was very powerful. But yeah, so like Ahsoka, essentially the clones go through the door. She uses the Force to push the door panel away, push the door, takes out a few of the clones. They jump out. Ahsoka's blocking the shots of the blasters with the lightsabers, but aiming them away from the clones so she doesn't kill them, and just covering Rex while doing so. And Rex is shooting them with the stun. So the idea is that we're going to stun them all, not kill any of them, which again is that's harder to do than killing them. But Ahsoka here is doing the selfless act of, you know what, I'm going to make it harder for myself, but like I don't want to kill these clones because they're not acting on their own initiative, which I think again shows Ahsoka as being like, when talking about selfless Jedi, Qui-Gon Jinn, Kanan becomes one, Obi-Wan is one, I believe. Selflessness is the true act of a Jedi. In my opinion, it's an act that the Jedi have sort of lost their way in a bit come the prequel trilogy. But here I would see Ahsoka being that selfless, making those selfless decisions, proving that she is actually probably one of the best Jedi around. Even though she's technically not a Jedi, guess what? You're actually showing the best Jedi feature here. You're being so selfless. And she sort of says that they sort of on the run, and they end up getting to the sort of the control room of the hangar bay. And she's like, get the shuttle ready. The droids are doing that. Open the hangar doors. And that's when another door opens and all these clones come running out and block the way. Ahsoka's like, we're not going to kill them. And Rex is like, not being funny, but like, they're going to kill you. Like, every single clone is going to kill the Jedi. Every single clone in the Grand Republic wants to kill the Jedi. It would be in order to do it. And she says, and Rex also tells her that like the clones are prepared to die doing it. And sort of Ahsoka says this really, really powerful line, which it says, those clones might be willing to die, but I'm not going to be the one to kill them. Which again, sort of that selflessness of like, I'm going to do this the harder way, but like I'm not killing these clones. Like, not doing it. Sort of Jesse's being very serious here. He's being very like, obviously we saw in the last episode when he got captured and how he didn't want to tell Maul any information and was really upset about telling Maul how Maul got in his mind and how he felt he betrayed Ahsoka and he was really upset about it. And then here he's like, no, I need to kill Ahsoka Tano and I'll kill you as well, Rex, if you're helping her. Like, it goes to show how much that flip switched. I think his dialogue he has designed to make you not like him. Because obviously you watch him all through the series, you love him. And then obviously because of what he did to try and you felt sorry for him in the last episode with Maul, when Maul was interrogating him. And here I think these dialogues very much like designed to make you root for Ahsoka and Rex rather than him. So again, they go down, sort of Rex tells him Ahsoka's not even a Jedi, she left the order, you know this. But Jesse's like, no, like we need to kill her and I'll kill you as well. So that's when Ahsoka uses the get the lightsabers back out and they do the block and shoot combo where Ahsoka's blocking all the boats and Rex is shooting them with the stun on these gun settings and they're trying to get the ship. I thought it was really cool how cheap in R7 and GG are helping out by the lowering the decking inside the hangar bay, making the clones fall. I thought it was really cool. And again, it goes to show that, like, obviously, it's just Ahsoka and Rex, but it's not actually, it's a team of 5. It's Ahsoka, Rex, GG, R7, and Cheap, because guess what? Because Ahsoka was nice to these droids in the past, like, they're helping out now. And without them, these clones wouldn't have fell down those holes. And without them, they wouldn't escape. So it goes, like, without them, they wouldn't get off this ship. So it goes to show you how important, like, these droids are and being nice to them is, which again, goes back to me, like George Lucas. So yeah, I think R7 goes to the ship to prime the ship. And it's Cheap and GG who are helping out here by controlling the floor panels that lead to the maintenance base underneath the hangar that the clones are now falling down. So they're trying to get there. Maul also gets in. He makes a run for the ship. So Ahsoka, Maul's about to get in the shuttle. And I noticed this. I didn't notice this the first few times I watched it, but I noticed it like last night when I watched it. Ahsoka like runs for Maul here because he's about to get in the shuttle. And Ahsoka gets so close for him that like Ahsoka's about to kill Maul because you see the panic in Maul's face and he uses the force quickly to push her away and pushes her down the hole. But like she's so close to him, she's about to end him. And he sees that and he panics, and that's why he uses such a big force push to sort of to get her away. So I like that how it's a bit like situations change now. Like, guess what, Maul? Like, if you're in the way, I will kill you now because like I'm not rooting for you. I'm not working with you. And I just need to get off this ship like as quickly as I can, type of thing. And I like how like she had him beat there, so she's beat him twice technically in like the same day, which again shows us how powerful she is. But Maul force pushes that in panic down the hole. Luckily again, the droids are there to help, so the droids send a rope down and just hanging on the rope, and they're going to pull her back up. Maul gets in the shuttle, attempts to take off. Ahsoka finally gets up. The shuttle's flying, and Ahsoka uses the force to pull the shuttle back, which again reminisces me of Rise of Skywalker when Rey and Kylo are push and pull in the transport ship that the thing has Chewbacca in between each other. So again, it was like a bit of Star Wars poetry there, where it reminisced on me straight away about that. She was just pulling on the ship, just holding it back, and she's actually holding it in the hangar bay as well, showing us how powerful she is with the Force. And I love this next moment. Is that like, I think at this moment she's filled with so much anger for Maul, like when she was about to slice him, like she's about to kill him, and then now she's trying to bring the shuttle in. But then Rex gets hit with a blaster bolt. Nothing major, just like superficial damage. I think in that moment she realizes that like she has that almost like that Luke Skywalker one from Return of the Jedi, where like he turns the lightsaber off and throws it away. Like she sort of lets go of the ship and lets it fly, turns around and protects her friend Rex. Because while she's holding the ship, she can't be defending Rex with the lightsabers. So she makes that decision to let go of the ship, like let that go. That's anger and that's Maul, and that's not important right now. Let that go, because I can't get back in the ship anyway. And if Rex is about to die, let that go. And then she comes back around the front of Rex, the lightsaber starts blocking again, and the back doing the block shoot combo, being a team. Which again I thought was a very like that way of letting go of anger and letting go of hate. Reminds us of Luke Skywalker, Return of the Jedi, and showing faith in your friends. Just turn back around to help our friend, and Rex's faith in has been repaid, which I thought was like really powerful. And again, it goes back to that scene what I had where like she says, "Oh, you're an even better friend." Like that emotional scene we got. And then here, like she's defending her friend now. R7 dies, sadly, gets shot. So that's a sad one because he's done quite a lot good. Well, R7 dies as Rex gets shot, and that's why she sort of decides to let the ship go and save Rex. So then basically what happens is Maul gets away, gets out the hangar and goes into hyperspace. Where's he gone? We don't know. Probably Dathomir, I'd imagine. Stay hidden for a bit. So Ahsoka and Rex have to get off the ship. They don't have the shuttle anymore. So they drop down into the maintenance bays looking for a ship to fly. There's a couple of ARC 170s in there that are broken. There's a couple of Y-wings that are broken. And then they find one that's being repaired. So Ahsoka throws Rex using the Force onto the Y-wing. She's defending the ship with her lightsabers. She then gets... she catches one in a gauntlet, a wrist gauntlet, I think, catches a blaster bolt in there, and that's when she realizes that we need to get off now. And then there's an explosion as the ship's getting dragged into the orbit of the moon. I think it's a we don't know which one, but it's a gravitational orbit of the moon. And obviously the ship's out of hyperspace and no engine, so it's getting pulled in. As she's about to jump onto the ship, there's an explosion and the Y-wing falls out the hangar with Rex in it, and then she falls out on her own, sort of free falling. So Rex manages to get the engines going on the ship, on the Y-wing. And Ahsoka's like free falling, but she almost takes control of the situation again, just showing how good she is. And she's like leading forward, like paragliding almost. And then she ends up, she tries to get on the ship, but just misses it. So then she's like running down the fallen Star Destroyer, the Venator class Star Destroyer, which is really cool, waiting for her opening, because she knows that Rex will try and save her. And he's flying towards her to get in a good position. He gets in a good position, and then she jumps, manages to land on the Y-wing, then he levels out. He levels out as the Venator comes crashing down into the surface of the moon, which I thought was just like really climactic, powerful, tense scene. And again shows that like, you know, she came and saved Rex. He got the chip out of his head and saved him, and she was about to keep Maul there, but then let Maul go to protect Rex. And then Rex, he has repaid the favour by he's saved her, where she would have felt her death. So it goes to show that friendship and faith in your friends like isn't a flaw. It's actually a very powerful feeling, and it's probably one of the best things you can have in your life is people who will do that for you and you do that for them. And if you have that, you'll always have hope, which I think is that message that George Lucas tried to portray from day one.
Oh, for sure. Star Wars is always about hope.
Yeah, definitely. I think you can forget that sometimes. I think with like, obviously, as I said, with the visuals and like how awesome things look. But I think that like that message is always there if you choose to see it. So then we cut forward a bit in time to where sort of they've landed the Y-wing in front of the ship, and you can see that Ahsoka and Rex have actually buried the clones they've found. So they've buried them in front of the class Venator, and they've got sticks on top of the sticks sticking in the graves, and they've got the clone helmets on top of the sticks. And then as the camera pans back, you see Jesse as well, which is quite sad because obviously you see how Jesse was trying to fight Maul off for her and was very upset that Maul got on his head, to then like, even though Jesse was being a bit nasty then during R66, obviously he had no choice because he was getting all to do. Ahsoka's given a proper burial. I noticed how next to the Y-wing as well, R7's like parts are there. So I wonder if they're going to rebuild R7. That would be cool if they did. Obviously, she buries the clones. She's wearing a hood, a cloak, which I thought was really cool. And then she's sort of looking at her lightsaber. Only one lightsaber actually here. Did you get the impression that she'd lost one somewhere else, or that she kept the one?
Yeah, I think so.
So I didn't see her lose one at all in the battle, and even watching it last night, I was keeping an eye out, seeing if she lost one or not. To which I couldn't see her lose one, so I'm assuming she's kept one. I don't know, maybe she lost it. We'll have to find out.
Maybe that she kept one.
I do like the way she's sort of looking at the saber, and you can tell her feeling that, like, feeling the past and everything that's happened through looking at it. And then she just sort of, she doesn't really throw it away. She just lets it slip out of her hand onto the floor and then walks away. Which I thought was a really sort of powerful moment. And then we get sort of the fast forward in time, which is told by the arrival of an Imperial shuttle. Which, as soon as I saw this, I was like, I know who's on that. I know who is on that. Then we see 2 Imperial snowtroopers. And then we see the Mandalore class site, which is now covered in snow. And then we see Vader, and Vader walks up and picks the lightsaber up. He knows exactly what lightsaber is. I noticed as well, which to me sense feels like he could probably sense Ahsoka on the saber. And he picks it up and turns it on, which is very powerful. And then we get, as he turns the lightsaber on, the camera pans up, and we see the shadow of a bird flying overhead, and it is the convor, which usually flies around when Ahsoka is near. In Rebels, the convor was obviously the bird of the daughter, from the Mortis arc, and they've been with Ahsoka since, type of thing. So yeah, like, what did you make of this ending?
Bittersweet, because yeah, like, he ignites her lightsaber. I'm sure he's remembering her, but who knows what he's thinking through that. And I like that it was very just all silence while it just showed him with the lightsaber, her lightsaber. I guess that's kind of her way of, like, I'm leaving this all behind again. Because I mean, who would want to be a part of, like, the Jedi if they're just, like, because all she's seen from them is kind of being a soldier and not what they should be. So I kind of too would be like her, just like, yeah, I'm gonna go find maybe a different path and figure out what, like the sisters from a few episodes ago, like what they would need versus like what they think they are.
I mean, another thing as well is obviously the Jedi now most hated and hunted people in the galaxy. So if she carries that lightsaber around with her, like, she's a target, people see it because they assume that she's a Jedi because she has one.
Do we ever see her again with one?
So with lightsabers, so she gets, when she appears in Rebels, she has new ones.
Okay. Oh, those are the white ones, right?
Those are the white ones, yeah.
So I wonder, maybe she has it hidden or she buried it, the blue one, because we only saw one at the end of this one.
Yeah, possibly. Maybe she did keep one and just got rid of one. We'll have to speak to Mr. Dave Filoni or the story group to find out the actual facts of that. I know she gets her crystals from Inquisitors. She defeats some Inquisitors without using a lightsaber in the Ahsoka novel. And then she heals their crystals and they become white because they don't go back to their original color. So that's how she gets the crystals for her new ones. For me, it was very much the fact Vader went there. So he obviously must have got word that the crash site was there. So those troops are in Imperial armor now. So I'm guessing this is a few years later, like, at least. So there must have obviously, the ship was probably lost because it came out of hyperspace, wherever, because it got dragged out because the engines broke. So I think obviously he must have got word of that Venator, or he knew Ahsoka was on it, so he's went there to investigate, whether it be for good or for bad. Maybe he's gone there to tie up a loose end, obviously trying to find out where she is. Obviously she's probably long gone, to be honest with you. But the fact that he's looking for her is quite deep, quite emotional, quite scary, because if he is looking to kill her, if he's trying to find out how to tie up that loose end, yeah, it's quite, because I wouldn't have, like, the report come to the Inquisitors and then he's decided to take that one himself. Like, I'll investigate this one myself because it's my loose end to tie up, type of thing. I don't know, because he doesn't know she survives until that Rebels episode when he sends her on the ship. So obviously here he sees the lightsaber and sees that she was possibly here, that the ship crashed. So he might be thinking, I'm hopefully going to find a body here where she's died in the crash. Obviously doesn't, so it keeps the question mark open of, is Ahsoka alive or dead? But yeah, just to finish up then, what was your overall thoughts for the whole Siege of Mandalore? as a story?
I really liked it. I enjoyed it even though I mostly kind of knew where it was going to go. I mean, it visually it's just so beautiful. Like they've improved so much over their with their animation. It was a really good way to send off the Clone Wars show in this way of kind of open-ended in a way. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I think for me, I think the story was I knew that we were going to get a lot of pain because of obviously the Jedi Purge or 66 is not very nice and set up that way. And I was joking with this. I was joking with this with my fiance Louise. She was like, because she was when I was watching the episode, she was in the room. She was like, "Oh, why are you watching it when you know you're going to just get upset?" And I'm like, "Well, I know we're going to get upset, but we need to watch it." It was almost if we knew what we were going to get, but we still watched it anyway because we had to know. But as fans, we put ourselves through that emotional turmoil. That is the Siege of Mandalore. So yeah, I thought the emotional levels of this was off the charts. It was really sad, really emotional, really pulling the heartstrings. Even watching it again a few times, those emotional beats still hit you the same. So it's not as if I've seen it a few times now, so the shock factor, I'm used to it. They still hit you the same, I've noticed. Which just goes to show how powerful and emotionally driven the story is and the performances are. For me, I like how it was open-ended. Obviously, we've only had 12 episodes and then finished the season. Lucasfilm does have that animation department, which at the moment, Lucasfilm Animation doesn't have any shows on the go officially. Because obviously Resistance is finished. So to me, that says to me that they're working on something. They're definitely working on a show right now, but they just haven't announced to the public yet. Otherwise, you've got a full department of a company not doing anything, which they would just get rid of the department. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's good. Where that new series is, I don't know. Could it be a Rebel spin-off? Could it be Vader trying to find Ahsoka, where this one ends? Maybe. It could be anything. But the open-endedness I took is not just open-endedness for the Ahsoka Vader story, but also open-endedness for animation. I feel they can go anywhere at any timeline next, which is quite fun to sort of speculate because these are speculation wide open.
Yeah, or it could be a whole new series that has nothing to do with any of this. Who knows?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I would love more series set in the sequel era. Would be cool. I think get some more story and information about that era. I don't know we've had Resistance, but I think have one set more in the action of the actual the sequel trilogy timeline will be cool. Obviously, how did you? Obviously, I know for example the first arc was the Bad Batch arc, and obviously we were thinking maybe the Bad Batch might turn up in the Siege of Mandalore, but obviously that didn't happen.
Wonder what happened to them.
Well, yeah, I mean, for me, I'm thinking, did they become a special Imperial task force, or did they resist? Did they not have chips because we're different, and they've joined the rebellion somewhere? I haven't been told that story yet.
Yeah.
I think it's one of two things. I think those guys can't sit out the war because they love war, as you find out in that Bad Batch arc. So I think they've either become special task force for the Emperor, or like I said, they managed to escape Order 66 and they're fighting against the Empire. I think it's one or the other for me.
Yeah, I'm hoping they survived. They were kind of the special ones.
Well, it's when he said in that first arc when Hunter's we don't know who do you get your orders from? He's like, oh well, we don't really know. I get in my head goes straight to the fact that the Chancellor's giving them orders directly, and in that case, if that's happening, I think that they're probably reporting directly to the Emperor now, which is tragic, but the bred for war. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, I imagine we'll find out at some point down the line.
Maybe. Or probably in a book. I imagine it'll probably be in one of the books mentioned somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to be in a comic book. So, the Kanan comics deal with Order 66 really well. And the way the clones are, look in the comic book is brilliant. So, comic books, I find, really lends itself to the story of the Clone Wars and the story of the clones. I really enjoy the visuals and the storytelling that were in that Kanan comic book. So, and again, if anybody listening wants to more Order 66 Jedi Purge pain, I recommend reading the Kanan comic book alongside the Siege of Mandalore and alongside Revenge of the Sith. It deals again with Order 66 from another perspective. All very sad still and all very tragic, but it beats home just how tragic this scenario was for the galaxy and the Jedi. Do you think, obviously, with the animation style being at its best ever for Lucasfilm animation, and also arguably it being some of the best looking animation in TV, full stop, do you think sort of the pressure's on for the next show to be just as beautiful?
I think they better understand how to make it look this way, so I have full confidence it'll probably look just as good in whatever else they do.
I think it depends because I think obviously Rebels. I know some people are like, "Oh, Rebels looks rubbish compared to Clone Wars," but like obviously Rebels is a different design aesthetic. Like Rebels is designed around the concept art of Ralph McQuarrie pretty much in the original trilogy. And if you're familiar with Ralph's work, then you see the design like it's on purpose to look that way. So like, I didn't have a problem with Rebel. It looks different because it's meant to look different. And obviously, and if you take Resistance, obviously Resistance is made to look like that type of like Asian culture anime, like and it's designed to look that way because that's the way they went. And obviously, in it looks brilliant and vibrant, looking that way. Does that make sense? This Clone Wars now looks like cinematic in every way. So for me, I would love for them to keep going the cinematic way, just because of how beautiful this looks and how much it glides off the page or off the screen even. But I also wouldn't want to take, if they've got a design idea for the next one and it's something different, I wouldn't want them to stop doing that to go back to this, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they'll probably choose whatever style fits whatever story they want to tell.
I mean, basically, I hope that like, we get more animation, different ones. So I hope we don't get just one more show. I hope we get like maybe 2 to 3 new shows going forward. And each one could be Clone Wars style, and then one could be like a different, more artistic style. You know, you've got Disney Plus now, which is going to be crying out for content to stay ahead of the curve, to sort of keep it above the other. Because there's going to be a time when you have to choose which streaming services you buy, because there's going to be that many, then they're going to be that expensive. So obviously Disney Plus is going to want as much content as possible. So like, why not greenlight these shows? Get 2 to 3 Star Wars animated shows a year. They don't have to be connected. You can tell them in 3 different areas of the saga, or not even the saga now, but in like the Star Wars world, and then each one will be its own unique style.
Yeah, who knows what they have ready? Because yeah, with Disney Plus, for a while people were like, I've already gone through everything in the catalog. There's got to be more stuff, and they pop up with like little behind the scenes like prop masters, but they're very short, and they've been kind of going down that route sometimes of just once a week kind of things. But yeah, they need to add a bit more content to Disney Plus. And I'm not sure if it will be animation just because of, I imagine it's expensive and takes a long time to do, unfortunately.
Yeah, no, they're definitely masters of the craft. Those guys that looks in animation. But I mean, I was just reading. I don't know how true it is. I saw on social media that the most streamed show in America this year is Clone Wars. So I don't know if that fact's true, but that is. I mean, to quote Beyonce, "Who run the world? Clones." But I think like an animated show being the top streaming show in America, I think says a lot about A, the power of Star Wars, and B, like just how beautiful this animation is. That like that's ahead of like for this year, ahead of any other Netflix original or anything on Hulu, or like, do you know what I mean? Anything on Amazon Prime, that's live action and easier for people to consume. And like obviously with the stigma for being animation, because there's that stigma that animation is only for kids, but it's the fact that it's number one says that like kids and adults are both watching it, which I think is a great thing. Have you got any closing thoughts about Clone Wars as a whole, Kristina, before we wrap it up?
That it did a good job telling the story that it needed to tell, and I dang you, Dave Filoni, for making me cry. Not really, just that it was just really, really, really good.
It was, wasn't it? It was just, like I said, for me, it was powerful. It was emotive. It was tragedy all over. But with that sprinkling of hope that Star Wars has, I think just they've gone out on the highest of highs. People often joke about like, how do you end a series? And like, if you talk to Dexter fans, they talk about that finale of Dexter being like not very good. If you talk to Game of Thrones fans, they talk about that last season and that last episode not being very good. But like here with this, we got probably the greatest season ever last, and we got the best story ever as the last arc. Very satisfying in a way that you probably can't even plan or imagine. It's just like lightning in a bottle almost, if you know what I mean. Like it only happens once. So something Dave seems very good at, like ending stories. Like the Rebel story ended so well, and then this one here, like it's ended like perfectly. So let's hope they give him more things to do in Lucasfilm. Obviously, he seems to have his hands in The Mandalorian quite a lot, based on those making of documentaries on Disney Plus right now. Kristina, where can the listeners find you on social media?
You can find me at Kristina Morse. It's Christina with a K and Morse, Morss. I think I'm the only one with my first and last name, so easy to find.
Do you want to tell listeners about your podcast, the Closing Credits podcast?
It's a podcast where I'm trying to go through every job title in the credits of TV and movies and interview somebody in that field and try to help educate people into how much work it takes to make their favorite TV show and film.
Yeah, so it's a great podcast. Anybody who's interested in film should check it out because you get really cool insights into the industry from people who work in the industry. Also, people who are looking at maybe how to get into the industry. Obviously, these are professionals who've been in the industry a while, but like I've found the ones that have so far been very humble, and they do share with you a lot of information about the hard work and about sort of what you need to be doing in order to sort of try and make it in the film industry. So definitely check it out as well if that's something you want to do. It's definitely worth listening to. As for Star Wars fans, what do you get out of it? Do you want to share with the listeners which Star Wars related guests you've had on, Kristina?
Let's see. I've had Dave Acord, who's worked on, I think, all the newish Star Wars stuff. So the cartoons, Mandalorian, the new movies, ever since at least episode 2.
Because he works at Skywalker Sound, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's like a re-recording mixer and a bunch of other titles. Gary Whitta, who was the co-writer for Rogue One. Gary Wrightstrom, he worked on, I think, at least episode 1 and 2, re-recording mixing.
Awesome. And then, obviously, I know you can't tell anything in particular, but have you got any Star Wars guests planned for the future?
Yeah, I've got 2. One of them, I can say for sure, is Hal Hickel, who's an ILM animation supervisor for like Rogue One and currently for the Mandalorian TV show.
Does he work on other things at ILM as well? Like Pirates and stuff, or any Marvel movies?
He worked on a couple of the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, and he worked on Rango. I don't think he worked on a Marvel movie. Or no, he did, actually. Yeah, he and John Knoll worked on Iron Man.
So that's going to be an awesome episode with Hal Hickel then. If you think about his catalogue of, work on blockbuster hits such as Pirates of the Caribbean and Iron Man, obviously. The Star Wars connection as well. I'm really looking forward to listening to that one. It's going to be good. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Kristina. Anybody wants to pick up on Kristina's podcast, it's available on iTunes and Spotify, Closing Credits Podcast. I'm behind on a few episodes, but I've listened to the first 5. And like I said, they're absolutely brilliant for getting insight into film. And then, like I said, those episodes of the Star Wars people, for Star Wars fans, is you're getting even more information, behind the scenes access, which is great. That's what we love to eat up. So yeah, Kristina, thank you very much for joining us. Obviously, this is the end of Clone Wars, so obviously, thanks for coming on and joining us for the whole final season.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you for having me.
We'll have to have you back on for Annoying Me, Knowing You, AHA special edition.
AHA, yes.
If you're up for that, that would be brilliant.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Well, thank you for joining me, Kristina. Thanks everyone for listening, and may the Force be with you.
Please follow us on Twitter at BorsStar. That's at BORESSTAR. And on Instagram and Facebook at Star Wars Podcast. You can also reach us on email at starwarspodcast@gmail.com. The Star Wars Show can be found on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, and wherever podcasts can be found. Please give us a like, subscribe, and don't forget to leave a 5-star review. May the Force be with you.